money. I just kept my head down, and 30 years later, here I am. So it's the same in sports. We always think, and, parents out there, if you've got a good, let's say your son's a quarterback, right? And you think to yourself, okay, I got to send him to this camp. He's got to be this way. He's got to have this coach, and he's got to go to this school. Well, how many Alabama quarterbacks are rocking in the NFL? How many Ohio State quarterbacks? Yeah, not many. Here's a list. The NFL executives, coaches, and players voted on the top 10 quarterbacks in the NFL, and it's fascinating. And it proves there is no one path to success. This is the highest paid position in America's most popular sport. Patrick Mahomes went to Texas Tech and had a losing record in college. Number 2 is Aaron Rodgers. Nobody offered him. He went to a junior college, then transferred to non-traditional power Cal. Also dropped in the first round. Tom Brady struggled to start in college, 6th-round pick. Number 4 is Russell Wilson. He started as a freshman at North Carolina State and as a sophomore and as a junior, and then his coach said, you're not as good as Mike Glennon. He had to transfer to Wisconsin. Number 5 is Josh Allen. He was not offered by a single Power 5 school. He went to Wyoming. We'll skip to number 7, Dak Prescott, who does not have an elite throwing motion. His coach, Dan Mullen, came on our show and said, I liked the kid. I hated the way he threw a football. He went to Mississippi State in the 4th round. Number 8 is Lamar Jackson, still has his critics. I'm no longer one of them. He went to a basketball school, Louisville, almost dropped out of the first round. Justin Herbert's number 9. He was the 3rd quarterback taken. We called him too stiff to make it in this league. And Kyler Murray initially liked baseball, and he had to transfer too. He had to transfer. Only Matt Stafford at number 6 had a linear path. He was number 1 high school player near Dallas. He was number 1 college guy at Georgia. Went to a big power. And number 1 pick in the NFL. And has gotten his brains beat in and can't win in the NFL. Hopefully that changes for the Rams. He had the best path, right? The clear path. Great high school program, great college program, goes to the NFL, and he has the second worst winning, well, he actually has the worst winning percentage of all these quarterbacks who have played for more than 2 years. Justin Herbert, Kyler Murray, you can't really, we're not talking about their winning percentage of kids. So Matt Stafford, that's what most parents think you have to do. My kid's got to be a great high schooler. He's got to go to a great college. He's got to go number 1. Hey, nonsense. There's one guy in the league, and he can't win any games, and hopefully in L.A. he does now because he has support. We have a quarterback in this top 10 that went to a junior college. 2 had to transfer. Some are fast. Some aren't. Brady isn't. Lamar is. Some are tall. Josh Allen. Some are short. Kyler Murray. Patrick Mahomes had a losing record in college. Nobody talked about Patrick Mahomes, and I love college football, and I didn't watch him play in college. I mean, I saw his highlights. I didn't watch Texas Tech games. They weren't any good. So it's a great example that it doesn't have to be one way. When you ask advice, there is no one way. The quarterback is the highest paid position, the most important position in America's overwhelmingly number 1 sport. And Aaron Rodgers went to a junior college, and nobody thought Josh Allen was worth a scholarship even to Oregon State. And Tom Brady couldn't start in college, and Russell Wilson's college coach didn't think he was as good as Mike Glennon. And Dak Prescott doesn't throw a perfect football, and Dan Mullen admitted, I didn't like the way he threw. I really didn't, but I just like the kid. That's why football's great. It's a story of America. The most important position, Joy and I have said this, half the NFL, half is undrafted. That is utterly remarkable. Half the NFL is undrafted. There is no one way to success. If you're a young person watching my show and you're a man and a woman and you don't have a lot of money and you can't afford the good camps and you don't get the private tutors, nonsense. It doesn't matter. Head down, work hard, believe in yourself. You will get there. Don't listen to anybody. There is no one way to be successful. And I love all these guys on that list. It just jumped out to me. I'm like, good God, outside of Stafford, they all had goofy paths. There is no one way. I mean, look at that list. 3rd-round guy, 6th-round guy, 4th-round guy, junior college guy. 2 guys had to transfer. One's 5'9", one's 6'6".
I bet if we looked back over the years, too, this would be consistent over time as well.
Yeah, I mean, Phil Simms went to a college. I grew up with Jim Zorn as a Seahawk fan as a kid. I don't know where he went to school. I think it was like Cal San Luis Obispo. He's a left-hander. There were no left-handed quarterbacks. And then I got Dave Craig, and I think he went to a college that's now defunct. I mean,
Terry Bradshaw, Ben Roethlisberger. I mean, we could just continue to go down the list.
There was a time, Joy, that North Carolina State had 3 starting quarterbacks in the NFL, and Ohio State and Alabama combined had 0. North Carolina State had 3. They had Phillip Rivers, Russell Wilson, and I think Glennon. They had 3 quarterbacks at one point starting in the NFL, and all the powers had none. USC didn't have one.
I think now, with scouting and especially with social media, there's so many more ways to get yourself out there.
Yes.
And they do pay attention to these, these videos and
I was talking to my daughter.
Reels that these guys put out.
About some TikTok star, and I'm like, who's she? And she's like, oh, she's from Connecticut, where we used to live, and she's a dancer, and she's a big TikTok star. And I'm like, how big? She's like, the biggest in the world. And I'm like, who's she? No, she's a dancer. Just a kid from Connecticut. It's the #1 TikTok star. She's a dancer. I forget her name, but she's like a big deal. And it's like, okay, that's the world we live in. If you got talent, people will find you. Well, we're going to bring in Buddy Hield, Sacramento Kings guard. One of our topics today has been, don't be shocked if Team USA doesn't blow all these teams out. There is so much global talent. Our MVP is from Serbia. The runner-up, Joel Embiid, is from Cameroon. The defensive player of the year, Rudy Gobert, is from France. The best young player is probably Luka. He's from Slovenia. This is the world we live in now. There's so much talent. And Buddy Hield